welcome to another episode of Jim's Allotment Garden. Okay, so I'm just putting in the Swedes. Now, as you know, the Swedes have been growing in this tray now for in the cells for about 3 or 4 weeks now. So that they really are well developed. And I've basically dug this ground over. The ground's really hard. I don't know if you can see, but it's quite sort of cloggy, and I can't really get in here with a rotavator to break it up. So I've broke it up as best I can with the spade. And what I'm going to do is, just as I go up the row, I'm going to just break up the ground a little bit more, get any of the sort of the lumps out. But all I'm going to do is I watered these a couple of days ago, and so that the cells are reasonably dry now. Now, because I've done that, what they should do is they should come out quite easily. So there's one there, so you can see the root ball on there. And all I'm going to do is just bob that in the ground, pretty much at the same level. You can go slightly deeper if you wish. Slightly deeper than it was in the cells like that. So now I'm not going to prick them out or sort of thin them out. What I'm going to do is just leave them. Some of them have got 2 or 3 and some of them have just got the 1. This one here, as you can see, has just got the 1. What I'm going to do is plant them in here about sort of 6 or so inches apart. You can go slightly further apart if you wish. And what I'm not going to do is make the same mistakes I made with the beetroot. What I'm going to do is put some slug pallets down to make sure these don't get nobbled. But the ground is dug over, but because the ground has been so hard, because of this really dry weather we've been having, and this rain that we've had over the last week hasn't really broken it up as much as I wish it would have done. But so I'm just going to go up the row, as I say. Push them in about every 6 or so inches. Now, the ones that have got multiple plants in, what I'll do is I'll leave them as they are for now. Wait for them to get established, and then what I'll do is I'll just thin them out by pinching out the ones that I don't want, leaving 1 in each position. So as soon as I've got these in, all I need to do then is just to give them a really good watering in. Make sure that they're kept watered over the next week or so, and then I'll show you these in a couple of weeks' time as soon as they've got established. Okay, so there you can see the row. So what I've done is I've given them a good watering, and now what I will be doing later tonight is just putting some slug pellets down just to make sure that no slugs affect them in any way, shape or form. But that's the Swedes in for now, and I'll show you in a couple of weeks when they've started to get established. Okay, so I'll just give you a quick tour around so you can see how things are getting on now. In the greenhouse, I just wanted to quickly show you this. I don't know if you can see it, but I've got tomato eating caterpillars. I've never known this before. As you can see, this little critter here was eating its way through a tomato. So as you can see, there's the tomato there. I'll just take that one off. You can see there's the tomato there, and this caterpillar has basically eaten the tomato. I've never seen that before in all the years I've grown tomatoes, but anyway, so in the greenhouse, apart from that, we're doing really well. As you can see, the tomatoes are up to kind of about 5 foot now. They have been tied back. I was tied back again last night. So this side is the money maker tomatoes. We got some quite strange structures again this year. I don't know if you can see, but this is a fruit and stem, and what it's done is it's kind of grown up. We've had the flowers, and we've got some more flowers on that side, and then we've got a leaf off it, and then it's kind of turned into a normal shoot. So I think what I'm going to do is cut that off there. I don't really want that to go any further than that. But tomatoes can be a little bit, I don't know, a little bit weird at times, where you get strange things happening, where you get sort of shoots and that sort of coming out, where you'll have a flower shoot and then that'll turn into a branch, or you'll have a leaf and then on the end of a leaf you'll have a fruiting stem. Now this one here, I'm not quite sure why, but it's not looking very happy with itself. As you can see, it's considerably smaller than all the rest, it's really not happy. I have watered it in exactly the same way as the other tomatoes, but unfortunately it seems to be sort of unhappy with itself. It's not showing any signs of any disease or anything like that. It's just looking really limp. It's almost as though there's something wrong with the roots. But you know, if I pull the soil away, you know, the stem is still, you know, the stem is still good. There doesn't seem to be any problem there. So, anyway, those are the money makers. As you can see, that the caterpillar has also eaten some of the leaves off there. So I've never known caterpillars attack tomato plants, and most certainly not eat the tomatoes anyway. But so on this side we've got the Alicante tomatoes. Now these really aren't doing that well at all. As you can see, the plants look quite weak and sort of spindly, and they're not, I don't know, they're just not very happy at all, to be honest with you. This plant here, for some reason, I don't know if a bird has got in the greenhouse or what, but the top has been broken off this tomato here, as you can see, and then I've also had the top broken off this tomato here. So I'm not quite sure how it happened, but when I came up in the week, I saw that the top had been broken off those two plants. So I don't know if I had a bird in here or something like that, but anyway, so I've had a little bit of damage, but it doesn't really matter, because this one here, all I'll do is I'll just allow this this shoot here to grow, and that'll kind of carry on as normal. So but apart from that, the tomatoes are doing okay. As I say, they're a bit weak on this side. These are the Alicante. Now normally I grow, well, for the last couple of 3 years I've grown Alicante on this side, and I've grown Moneymaker on this side, and to be honest with you, normally there's almost nothing between them. You know, the Alicantes are as good, if not better, than the Moneymakers, but for some reason this year the Alicantes are not doing very well at all. I'm not quite sure why. Obviously I had them two that had that sort of strange disease here, so these are the two that came out. I'm not sure if it was actually blight or if it was something else, but anyway, they've been replaced now. But they've all been watered the same. You know, I'm not watering them any different or with any different water or anything like that. But the tomatoes are doing a few strange things this year. On a positive note, we've got, this is the cayenne pepper plant. I don't know if you can see, but we've got loads of little flowers, loads of fruits forming, as you can see here. It is doing really well. Now what I will be doing is these bottom ones here, I'll be taking off. Now they're not going to get any bigger, and you can actually ripen them off the plant. So I can actually take them off and then leave them in the sun, and they'll ripen quite happily off the plant, or just eat them green. But the one thing with pepper plants is what you want to do is keep taking the peppers off, because as soon as they've produced the seed inside the pepper, the plant will decide to shut itself down. So you know, it's well worth picking you know, the peppers off as they form. On this side we've got the jalapeno peppers, and they're kind of touching the windows a bit really. I should really pull those out and get them growing across a bit. And this one here, we don't seem to have any fruit on the peppers yet, I don't think. No, I don't think we have quite yet. Well, I have seen evidence of buds forming. There you go, there's one. There's a bud there. I don't know if you can see just by my thumb there, there's a little flower bud forming. So I don't think we're too far off. But those are the jalapenos on that side, and also we've got the same here as well. That's the grapevine there, sorry. So the jalapenos are here, and you can see there's some small buds forming again at the top. So they are coming. So they're doing well. Obviously under here where I have got is more jalapeno bushes. Now these are going to go on top of here as soon as these calabrese are ready to go out to harden off. And as you can see, the calabrese are doing really well since they've been put in now. The kind of 6 inches or so high, most certainly plenty of leaves on there. Now what I will be doing, even though really I should be putting these out now into the garden to harden off, but because the weather's been a bit brutal, you know, we've had quite heavy downpours of rain, and these plants are still reasonably tender, so I've been a bit concerned about putting them out. So I've left them in the greenhouse for now, but in the next week these broccoli plants will most certainly go outside to harden off and you know, sort of grow on a bit. At which point on the surface here I'll put the jalapeno pepper plants, which I've currently got under here. The cucumbers, as you can see, I've got quite a nice one forming at the back there, one over there, and there's one just growing in there, so they're almost ready to pick. I've picked 2 off this plant so far. There's one more at the back there, and this plant here, which is going to go into the other greenhouse, I've already picked one off it that was on there. And there's another one there. So far we've had 3 cucumbers out here. So the plants have basically already paid for themselves. So that's the cucumber plants. Obviously this is growing up. There's one just coming through at the back there. These other 3 at the back have been quite slow in comparison to this grafted one. This grafted one has grown really quickly compared to the other 3, which are the female F1. They've grown reasonably slowly. But they are starting to come through. I've got the head, I don't know if you can see, that's the head of one there, just at the back, and then I've got the head of the other one there, or the lead-in shoot if you like. Now what I'm going to do is start to train them up here, so I'll put another cane down next to them, and then I'll train them up in exactly the same way as this one. But they are doing really well. The grapes, you've probably already seen me ducking them as I walk in and out of the greenhouse. But they are doing really well. As you can see, they're forming quite nice. In this rain that we've had over the past couple of days has really brought them on. They've really started to fatten up, and you can tell by, well, what I think I'll need to do is to add some more strings tying these up, because they seem to have dropped whilst they've since they've kind of fattened up. So I think what I need to do is just give them a little bit more support and tie them into the metal frame at the top. But as you can see, the grapes are doing really well, so I'm quite pleased with those. There are actually more bunches of grapes than I thought there were. I thought I'd got it down to about 10, but I think there's more than that. So I may need to thin them out slightly more. But anyway, that's the greenhouse on the 1st of July. Okay, so a quick look around the rest of the allotment. This rain that we've had over the past couple of days has really made quite a big difference. A lot of the herbs look a lot more lush now than they did before. The rosemary really has seen its best, I think, for this year. It's starting to look a bit tired in places, as you can see. But a few of the stems have sort of died back. So what I will be doing with the rosemary is cutting it back a little bit before too much longer, just to you know, just to tidy it up a bit. That's the basil bed. As you can see, it's growing quite nicely. Again, even though I've put slug pellets down, you can see some of the plants have actually had a bit of slug damage on them, but it's looking not too bad in the whole. But I think I don't think I'll put any more slug pellets down. I think I should have sort of pretty much got most of them now. I haven't had a chance to do the comfrey quite yet. With the weather and everything, I've not managed to get up too much this week. But the comfrey will be chopped down in the next couple of days and put into the comfrey bin to make some more tea. Okay, moving down, you can see the asparagus has really started to form its berries now. Now this wind we've been having, I've been really glad that I've put this quick framework up with these pins and this bamboo, because the weight of these plants now most certainly would have been knocked about in them. But you can see how many berries there are on there, and each one of these will contain 3 or 4 little seeds, which in turn, you know, will go to make some new asparagus plants later in the year. But that's the asparagus bush for you, or bushes should I say. As you can see, the comfrey from this side, you can see all the seed pods on it. So I really do need to get that in the compost before it starts throwing its seeds everywhere. The raspberries, as you can see, are doing really well. I've got a bit of bindweed in here. One thing that's a constant battle for me. But as you can see, the raspberries doing really well down here. There's plenty of raspberries. So those are all the red ones. We have been picking quite a few of these. In fact, we're going to have some eating mess this evening, I think. But the yellow ones always look really nice. But if I'm to give you advice, I would say go for red varieties because the taste is considerably better. The birdhouse gourds, as you can see, have just started to take off. So as you can see, it's starting to throw its first runner up in the middle. So that'll do well to go up and across the framework. The sunflowers have grown again. As you can see, they're up to the second. So that really needs to be tied in now. As you can see, the sunflowers are doing really well. Pears starting to fatten up quite nicely, so we're going to have some quite nice pears on this year. These are the Justerberry bushes. These need to be tied down a little bit, to be honest with you, and I need to trim these on the pear tree as well. But the Justerberries, as you can see, this is the fruiting part, which is basically last year's wood, and you can see these are almost ready to pick now. So you know, we could start to pick some of those now. Fantastic for making jam out of they are. This is the cherry tree. As you know, the cherry tree's already fruited. All the cherries have gone. But what I need to do with this is start to tie in this branch here into the espalier frame. I've already started tying these in here, and just cut it back and start to trim it up now it's finished. But obviously the cherry tree again will be fruiting on this year's wood next year, so I need to get it into good shape now so that you know, that it fruits well again next year. As you can see, this is the wind. I left that on to show you, but the wind does cause a bit of damage over the last few weeks. But again, these Justerberries are looking really nice. Again, I need to tie this in and just sort of straighten her up before it gets, because the wood, whilst it's nice, young and supple like that, you know, you can tie it in and bend it and get it to exactly as you want. If you leave it too long, it becomes stiff and hard, and you know, obviously you'll damage it trying to straighten it. And the apple tree, as you can see, there's loads of apples on. As you can see, they're all sort of coming on quite nicely now. There's not too many apples on there, so I'm not going to take any off, but they're doing well. And then at the end here, this is the birdhouse gourd. It's really making up for the others that didn't really shoot. So as you can see, that's doing really well now, and that's actually holding its own, and it's tying itself into the framework itself. But what I will do, just in case it gets knocked about by the wind a bit, I'll come up and tie that in with a bit of string. Right, onto the strawberries. The strawberries are pretty much finished now, so I'm just going to leave them. Obviously, I didn't really let them fruit too much this year because they've just been moved, but I need to give them a little bit of attention and just try to, you know, sort of put the black cover down again. I think there's some potatoes trying to grow through underneath there. The potatoes, I've had some strange phenomena going on here now. It's not blight or anything like that, but as you can see, there's sort of footprints around here. I'm not quite sure what's caused it. There's also footprints here, and the actual plants seem to be dying off. Now, it doesn't look like blight to me, but as you can see, there seems to be little footprints all over the place, so I'm not quite sure what's gone on here. Likewise over here, this plant's kind of died off as well, and there seems to be disturbance in the ground, so I'm really not quite sure what went on here, but I'm pretty sure this doesn't seem to be blight, but I need to keep my eye on that. But anyway, that's what the potatoes look like at the top here. The rest of the potatoes seem to be unaffected by it. Now these top two rows here are the Maris Piper potatoes. You have to excuse the weeds. And then this is the purple majestic potato plant here. It looks quite different now. Then the rest of them are the kestrel amongst the weeds. But as you can see, that I've left the weeds in there. I've got what I can from the side, pretty much. But these weeds here have grown in the last literally in the last couple of weeks, and I don't really want to go wading in there and taking them out again, because I'm going to damage the potato plants when I do that. But I'm not quite sure what's gone on with these potatoes here. I'm pretty sure it's not a fungal thing, but what I might do is start to dig those up, just to have a look, see what the potatoes look like underneath. Right, moving on along down here. So all of these potatoes look healthy. There's no signs of anything untoward here at all. These look all okay. The onions have started to fatten up a bit on this side here. These ones here are still growing. They're nowhere near finished yet, but they're growing really well. Well, they're not really well, but they're growing well now compared to as they were before. Okay, and the parsnips have outgrown the boxes, so I really do need to get these covers off now to let them grow on a bit better. The sweet peas, as you can see, are growing really well. What I need to do is get up here and tie them in a bit, because when people walk up and down the path, they've got a tendency of knocking them and breaking them off. So what I need to do is just tie these in so nobody sort of knocks them off. But I have been picking quite a few sweet peas, as I showed you in the last video. But you can see how quickly they grow this time of year. You know, if you come up and pick every flower that's on the bush, if you come up the following day, it's covered again. So really, you can't go wrong. In here, as you know, I've taken all the calabrese out. The spinach has continued to run to seed a bit, which is there's not really much I can do about that. It's just the weather conditions, I'm afraid. The second batch of spinach under here, that seems to be okay at the moment, but that may well run to seed as well. This is the Petrarch kale and the Scottish kale. That's growing quite well, but unfortunately I've got, as you can see, but there's white fly on there at the moment. Now, I have sprayed already once with soapy water last week, but it looks like they're back. With soapy water you can kind of knock them back a bit, but you'll never kill them. So unless you use some kind of you know, pesticide, really, there's not a lot you can do. So that's the kale for you. Now, obviously, that's this is the flower sprout. Obviously, these have got white fly in them as well, as you can see. So I will be spraying those again with some soapy water. I've got some soapy water in the sprayer. All of this calabrese now is going to be fed to the chickens, and then that's going to prepare the ground ready for the second batch to go in, which will be going in the next couple of weeks. So what I'll do now is sort of clear this ground out this week, feed all of this to the chickens so they'll have a feed off that, and then I'll probably just rough the ground over. It doesn't really need to be dug, really, just sort of rough it over, and then sort of tread it all down again so it's all nice and firm, because brassicas always like the ground to be nice and firm. So I'll just do that in the next week, so that's ready for the broccoli or the calabrese to go in. And what I will do is I'll bring them out of the greenhouse and put them down in here, because what you don't want to do is put them outside as seedlings, because if you get or you know, young plants, because pigeons and cabbage white butterflies, you know, as young as they are, when they're kind of 6 inches high, they will come down and they will most certainly lay eggs on. So what you want to do is get them in your fruit cage as soon as you can, so you know that they're protected against cabbage white and pigeons and all that kind of stuff. Right, so that's the first tunnel. Right, okay, as you can see, the sweet peas are really nice, and it's a shame you can't smell them. They do smell really nice, but I'll be taking some of them in the house later on. Now, the courgette plants have come on quite well, as you can see. I'm getting some courgettes on now. So this is the first 6 plants, so they're doing alright. The pumpkins have really taken off, as you can see. The pumpkins have done really well this week, so they've really reacted well to this rain that we've had. Now the fruit that was on this one that I showed you last week, I don't know if you can see, but that doesn't seem to have pollinated. There are plenty of others coming along the stem there, but there's one there. So what I need to do is just keep my eye on the ones that pollinate and then put a tile underneath them so they're off the ground as they're forming. As you can see, that one now is coming all the way along here, all the way along the back to here, and it's actually starting to go into the rhubarb patch as well. So that's doing really well. Right, it's just coming along here. This is the butternut squash. As you can see down here, that's a little butternut squash there. So they are forming on the plant. I think I've got about 4 so far on there. That's the mashua. Still growing quite well, and the runner beans are now in flower, as you can see. So there's going to be loads and loads of beans before too much longer. Just coming through the gap here. As you can see on this side, there's loads more shoots coming. Now obviously they've got to the top and I've kind of taken the tops out like this. There's another couple here that I'm just taking the top out of. And they've started to throw these shoots up from underneath. So they're really starting to grow well. So we'll be having beans on here most certainly in the next week or two. The sunflowers, as you can see here, they've just started to develop a head on. So that's up to about 4 foot now. I've been coming up and taking the heads off the calendulas at the bottom there, but as you can see there's a few more on there that need taking off now, but these sunflowers here aren't too far behind. They're not starting to form the flower head yet, but this one here is a little bit behind the others, but that one was a later one planted. Right, in the second tunnel, sorry I've gone around the wrong way this time, in this tunnel here, as you can see the spinach is through. Here, you can see here the spinach plants are through. So there's 2 nice rows there, and then this is the beetroot at the front. Some of them have failed, I'm not quite sure why. They have been watered and looked after, but unfortunately some of the areas here, I think, I'm guessing because you can see plant remains like that it's slugs. One thing I didn't do is put any slug pellets down, so I'm guessing that slugs have nibbled them off. But that's the first tunnel. Obviously over here will be the Swedes and the rest of the calabrese on it. Where did I plant that out? Right, so we've seen all this because I did this bit backwards. So the sunflowers really are coming on really well. These have all been weeded out, believe it or not, even though there's weeds there now. But I have weeded these out in the last week or so. But these here have just done, these ones here have just done quite as well as the others. What I am finding this year, as I explained before, because of this wind we keep getting some really windy evenings. And what that's doing is it's kind of unravelling. I've explained this already to you. It's unravelling the shoots from the bean poles, which I've never really experienced in the past. But I keep having to come up and kind of, sort of ravel them back around the poles, like I am doing now, in fact. But that's what that looks like. That's the other side of the parsnips. So they're doing really well. Onions are doing really well. Still got some bindweed. I keep pulling this bindweed out, and 3 or 4 days later it's back with a vengeance. So here's the other side of the potatoes, and you can see they look perfectly healthy. There's no signs of any blight or any disease or anything like that. So they're all doing really well. There's no signs of any problems until you get to the 2 rows of Maris Piper. And these, it looks like something's been in there and disturbed the ground to me, and it's only the Maris Piper plants that seem to be affected by it, apart from this one. So obviously, if it was potato blight, it would be across them all. It wouldn't be isolated, or it'd be in one area, like across. But it's only one variety which is affected, and not every plant is affected. And it seems to be patches opposed to one area. So I'm pretty sure it's not blight. Right, back up to here then. These are the climbing beans. As you can see, they're also up to the top. In exactly the same way with runner beans, what you want to do is just nip off the growing tip like that. And these have got to here in the last couple of days because I come to nip them off the other day and they were here, and within a couple of days they've got to there. Again, you can see, look, this one here is kind of unravelled itself from its stalk, so this one here should be on this one. I've never known this with beans before. If you're seeing it with your beans as well, please do let me know with a comment. But I've never known beans unravel themselves like this before in the past. But anyway, the climbing beans are almost to the top, and we're starting to get the first signs of the flower buds forming, as you can see here. So that means there's going to be beans before some time. This one here just doesn't want to go up the pole at all. I've re-wrapped that one a few times, but it just doesn't want to go up. So they're the beans. Round this side here, so obviously this is a few plants. I've just got hardening off there. Those are some outside tomato plants that got put in. Got a single nasturtium on the floor there that's come through as a weed. This is the yacon plant, as you can see. They're doing really well. They're up to kind of 3 or 4 foot high now. And then here we've got amongst the weeds, we've got at the end there we've got the asparagus peas. We've got plenty of flowers on. We have had some peas on. I've not actually eaten any yet, but the plants do start to seem to be growing a bit better. And then here obviously we've got the Allotment, which is in that kind of patch there. But because of the weather being the way that it has been this week, I've not really been able to get up and do quite as much as I would have liked. But and you can actually see a bean there trailing across the floor, so I need to ravel that back up as well. But I can spend an hour just recoiling the beans at the poles. So that's the beans. That, as you can see, this is the comfrey that got chopped down the other week, and that's really grown back with some pace, so that's attracting the bees again now. As you can see, there's some flowers on there and at the top, so that's going really well. And the one thing I do keep meaning to show you, and I haven't yet, this is the hollyhock. These are the ones that I planted about 2 years ago, which are black now. This one hasn't started to flower yet, but the ones that are in my garden have already started flowering. The really large black, really dark purple, almost black flowers on them, which look really nice. So there's actually 2 in here. There's one there, and there's one at the front here, but there doesn't seem to be a flower stalk on the one at the front. Well, hopefully they'll be out next week and I'll be able to show you what they look like. But that's a black hollyhock, and I think it's called Black Knight, if I remember correctly. But anyway, that's the top of the allotment. So that's what the plot looks like on the 1st of July. So, I hope this episode was of some use to you. Please don't hesitate to put any comments or questions you've got below, and I'll always get back to you. And I just wanted to say, this episode does mark a bit of a milestone, because we've now got 2,000 subscribers, and also we've had 200,000 views on the videos. So I just want to say a massive thanks to all of the subscribers and all the people that have supported the channel over the past 3 years. And I'll see you in the next episode of Jim's Not the Guy.